Welcome back. This is the last segment with Bernie Moreno tonight, and we're looking forward to talking about national issues. Like the issue one and issue two are enormous. They're going to have a lasting, lifelong impact on Ohio, but there are nationwide, worldwide issues that are also going to have major impact. I guess let's start with the obvious first one. Israel and Hamas are at war, being financed by the fact that the Biden administration just gave $6 billion to Iran. How do you see that going, and what do you think the U.S. involvement should be in that conflict or
Well,
terrorist
first of all,
activities, a better activity?
let's get this clear. Israel is being attacked by terrorists. Hamas is not a country. Hamas is just a group of ruthless, disgusting terrorists. They attacked Israel completely unprovoked, are murdering children, are murdering women, are seeking to wreak havoc upon a peaceful democracy. That's what they're doing. We have to be clear that we need to give Israel the space it needs to defend itself, not just now, but make certain that their citizens are safe going forward. And what that looks like is up to Israel. So America's role should give to be to get should be to give Israel the space it needs to do that. Now, like I said, this happened because Biden was willing to crawl through glass to appease Iran, revert back to the Iran nuclear deal, which was a disaster. The author of that deal works in the Biden administration, even though, of course, she's a holdover from the Obama years. Giving $6 billion and unfreezing that money. We know money's fungible. We should have immediately reversed course. Of course, we gave that money in exchange for hostages. Reagan taught us you never negotiate with terrorists. He did. And shockingly, now we have more terrorists. Biden is weak. Biden is the worst form of government, worst foreign policy in American history. Terrible disaster. So let's get that out of the way. So now what do we do? What do we do as America? Again, beyond giving Israel the space, we need to make certain that all the armaments that they've already paid for, we fast track that and get that to Israel as soon as possible. Israel has a very lethal, competent military, and given the space and arming them with the things that they've already paid for, will accomplish what they need to do.
Sounds common sense, and I just hope that we can show the restraint when the obvious happens. I mean, there is no doubt that there are going to be civilian casualties inflicted by Israel's response, but I don't see Israel going in and beheading babies. That's you mentioned murdering of citizens, women, children. They didn't just murder; they were brutal. It's just unspeakable acts. The first thought I had when I heard some of the details of how this happened is they had a plan of attack for going after a formidable wall between Gaza and Israel. We have nothing between us and millions of people streaming into our country. My first thought was, are we next? The fact that the border is wide open, we're getting what, 20,000 a month, 200,000 a month. Nobody knows. How many of those are coming as sleeper cells? How do we get a handle on making sure it doesn't happen? Because we have no border. We don't have a wall. We don't have sensors. We don't have drones. It's just an open walkway.
Yeah, so let's again be clear about that. The mullahs in Iran, the terrorists in Hamas are shouting death to Israel, but they're also shouting death to America. Tomorrow, Friday, they've called for a global jihad against America. My daughter lives in New York City. We had a very serious conversation about getting her out of there today. She opted to stay. So now prayer is what I need to do to make certain that she's safe. But here's the reality. We've had over 8 million people cross our border illegally since Joe Biden stepped into the White House and reversed all of President Trump's common sense policies. We have a completely unopened, no screening border where we've let people who we have no idea who they are, George. We don't know who they are. We've done, this is not me saying this. This is Border Patrol admitting that they have not done even the most basic vetting. Thousands of people from countries like Iran, Yemen, Qatar, Egypt, Now, let's say 99.5% of those people are great people, right? Well, they first of all still broke into our country illegally. Okay. But
Right.
uh, putting that aside for a second, how many does it take? 9/11 took 20 terrorists to kill 4,000 Americans. Do I think that there's sleeper cells in America? I think that it would be insanely naive to think there isn't, right? So I know firsthand from friends and relatives in Colombia that these Middle Eastern people are going to Venezuela, getting Venezuelan passports, and then being trafficked up through the Darien Gap from Colombia to Panama up to our border. I know that as a fact. It's not a conspiracy theory. We know that. So, George, the question becomes, what do we do about it? Do we just sit back and wait for an attack to happen? For that, do we have to see dead Americans for our government to act? I say no. What we need to do immediately is the following four things. Number one, suspend all further asylum entry ability to anybody until the end of 2025. Shut it down.
Stop it.
No more.
Across the board.
That's number one. Number two, if you are somebody who came into this country legally, claimed asylum, and if your court date is past January of 2024, your court date should be revoked and you need to be deported immediately because we did not do any vetting on you. You can come back in line later after 2025 legally, but between now and then, we've got to get our security under control. Number three, we have to immediately do what Biden is now saying we have to do, which is to build that wall, right? You never would have called that one, by the way.
He just finished selling off all the material that was already down there to do it.
Exactly. So now we're going to pay a lot more money, and but it needs to be done. And number four, we need to go to Mexico. Mexico, as you know, George, is our largest trader of legal goods, not China, Mexico. We have to tell them this is what we are now with you. We are our largest partner, our legal trading partner. But you're also allowing a lot of bad things to happen at our border. You're taking base chemicals from China. You're killing 100,000 plus Americans. You can either be our enemy or our great partner. It's your choice. You're a sovereign country, but these are the two paths. They're clear. You, Mexico, have to pick. I think Mexico picks the right path. And I think then we use our military and our special operators to go in and wipe out the drug cartels, declare them foreign terrorist organizations, have the Mexican government resurge the troops to the border. And George, what is more fundamental than a United States senator or congressman or president looking at their citizens and saying, I am going to protect you. I am going to defend America. There is no more duty than that. It's not about tax policy or writing regulations around energy or changing arrangements about this or that. This is fundamental duty, is to defend and protect America. They have to do their job. And I'm hoping, George, that that gets done because I worry about things like the pumpkin show in Pickaway County, an Ohio State game, an event in Mercer County, where you have a very small police force that would no way be equipped to handle a sophisticated attack like what you saw in Israel. Remember, they didn't attack Tel Aviv or Jerusalem first. They attacked these very small, vulnerable towns. And we have those here in Ohio. And I'm really, really afraid and pray that it does not take dead Americans for our leaders to do their damn job and protect this country.
You're right. I mean, the idea that, we are not safe in our own homes. It's kind of like nobody thinks about oxygen in the air until there's no oxygen in the air. Safety in your home is considered like the baseline. That should never be at risk. And what's happening with all of this invasion going on our southern and northern border just puts that at risk. The other thing I want to point out, make sure everybody's aware, firsthand what the legal immigration process is.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you immigrated? 5?
No, it was just before my 5th birthday. It was myself, my 5 brothers, my sister, my mom and dad. So the 9 of us came to America. We came here the legal way. By the way, George, let me just say this. It's a difficult process. It's not easy. A lot of paperwork, a lot of steps, as it should be. The greatest honor of my life was to be able to stand in front of the United States flag and pledge to become a citizen of this country, a positive contributing force to America. We make that less dignified when we allow what's going on at our southern border. We reduce the meaning of that when we do that. It means, by the way, George, we should make English our official language. That's what unites people. We should demand that people coming to America learn our culture, learn our founding structures. That is a baseline. We should end birthright citizenship. It was about slavery. It was not about illegal immigration. We don't want to be encouraging pregnant women to come here, give birth, and all of a sudden our social safety net is supposed to take care of foreign-born babies. Listen, at the end of the day, George, one of the things that should never be controversial, but yet it is that elected officials need to put the interest of America first and foremost before anything else.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable to see what's happening now. I mean, the fact that legally it's very difficult, but in the past, I think what made America great from the very get-go is the first people to come here risked everything. They had no money, they had no homes, they had to build everything from scratch. So the DNA of the people that came were people who sought out how to be self-sufficient and improve themselves. And now what we have is the exact opposite. The people that are coming are not self-sufficient. They want to be taken care of. They want the handout. And it's just so upside down from what America should and is up until the last, decade or two. But I think that's what the key thing about America was. It's DNA at the very get-go were the most talented, optimistic, and clever people. Because anyone who wasn't died when they came across. So, I mean, our entire culture is built on this idea that the individual has the ability to do whatever they want, not that the individual comes here to get stuff for free. And I think that's the basic difference.
We came here to live the American dream, not for handouts and freebies. Our Declaration is clear. Like I said earlier, our rights come from God. We're endowed by certain inalienable rights. And then again, the line that matters more than any other is in order to secure those rights. That's the purpose of government, to secure those rights, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. George, did you consent to 8 million people entering this country illegally? Did you consent to a $33 trillion debt climbing at $1 trillion a month? Did you consent to an endless war in Ukraine? Did you consent to destroying our American energy? Did you consent to high interest rates and high inflation, high gas prices? Did you consent to be locked down during COVID and being told that maybe you're essential or not essential? Did you consent to wear a mask or be punished? Did you consent to take a vaccine or not be able to provide for your family and be fired? We have gone so far away from our founding principles over the last 3 years, George. That's why I'm running for office. We have to stop sending career politicians that don't understand the fundamental purpose of government. They are drunk with power. They worry about their own careers. You got one guy running for one office already plotting his next run for that next office. These are blind, ambitious people who all they want to do is pillage this nation. We got to go back to citizen-led government in which citizens go there to serve their country, knowing that they're going to come back after a period of time and live under the very rules that they've passed.
Yeah, my guideline is always if someone wants to be president, they probably shouldn't be given the job. You got to be doing that job because you think you can make a difference, and that's the whole thing. And that's what I hear from you when I've seen you speak in the past, and what you just said there. Let's end with one last thing that is, I think, on the same level of are you safe in your home, and that is our 3-letter acronyms: CIA, NSA, IRS. None of them are blind justice anymore. There is no doubt there are 2 tiers of treatment. So in 2012, back with the Tea Party days when I was there, in February when Lois Lerner started going after everybody, we got a phone call from the IRS. And she says straight up, you're being audited because of your involvement with the Cincinnati Tea Party. Now we've got the FBI going after January 6 people who did nothing. I mean, the one guy's got 22 years and he wasn't even there when it happened. What can we do about this 2-tier justice? And you can't use the word justice. It's not justice anymore. This attack from political sides.
Well, we have a lot of work to do, George. We've allowed this administrative state to get it completely out of control. Congress has failed to do their job properly. They write laws that are so insanely vague that empower the administrative state. They do virtually no oversight, certainly no real oversight up until now. That's why Jim Jordan is such a great example of what a speaker should be, because I believe he's been showing the country what real oversight looks like. But at the end of the day, we will win. I want your viewers to know that, your listeners to know that we will win. It's going to be a bumpy ride between now and January of 2025. Probably the worst 14, 15 months in recent history. But we will get the other side. We always do. America always wins. But when we take over, George, in 2025, let me just say this. We're going to put in real reformers in the FBI, not somebody who's going to just put a little lipstick on that pig. We're going to totally change the top leadership down to a significant level, not just the leader, but the structure below that person. We're going to do the same thing in the Department of Justice. We're going to do the same thing in DOD. We're going to do the same thing in all these administrative departments. We're going to give walking papers to the 4,400 people who work in the Department of Education. It's an unconstitutional department. And more than anything else, George, what we're going to do is what President Trump did to the best of his ability, which is to keep the promises we're making to the American people. We can no longer, as Republicans, ever win another election unless in 2025 we commit to actually doing the things we all campaigned on doing. No more excuses, no more equivocation. We got to get this done because we need to save this country and get it back. And by the way, George, I honestly, in my heart and soul, believe we will make that happen. We should have listened to the canary in the coal mine when the Tea Party movement started in 2010. The warning signs were there. Look who our candidate was for president in 2012 that the Tea Party was warning us about. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, right? Look at them today. The Tea Party movement was right. We should have listened to them, but here we are. We got to get the job done now. We got to save this country before it's too late. This is the last election in which we can do that. So urge your listeners, your viewers to support my campaign. No, I will never disappoint you. I'm going to go down there and fight like hell to make certain that our country is safe.
Thank you very much. That's a great ending. You can get the details on our website, restoreliberty.us. We'll have the links to Bernie's page, to how you can help. Send email to info@restoreliberty.us. We will do everything we can to get you connected to the people in charge. Bernie, thanks again. This has been very informative, and I wish you the best of luck. We need more like you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, George, for everything you're doing. Appreciate it.